Keir Starmer's Labour have made yet another U-turn. Who saw this coming? This time it's on the issue of private schools. The party had said that if they win a general election, they will immediately charge private schools 20% VAT, something that they are currently exempt from. But they'd also said that part of this move would be to strip private schools of charitable status. Now, Labour are saying that they will ditch that pledge on revoking charitable status, which means private schools would still retain at least some of their tax breaks. The Eye explains some of the details of how this all works here. Under current law, independent schools can be recognised as charities if they demonstrate that they make provision for those of, quote, modest means to attend, usually through scholarships and bursaries. Charitable status means private schools do not have to pay tax on their annual profits and grants them other tax breaks, including business rates relief on buildings. A spokesperson for the Labour Party said this: "Our policy remains. We will remove the unfair tax breaks that private schools benefit from to fund desperately needed teachers and mental health counselling in every secondary school. This doesn't require removing charitable status, however, driving high and rising standards for every child against the backdrop of a broken economy requires political choices. Labour isn't afraid to make them." Well, they are making them. They are afraid to make them because they're not removing charitable status from the rich private schools that have a lot of wealth and get a lot of tax breaks in order to hoard more of that wealth. That contradicts previous statements from the likes of Shadow Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, who said the party would be, quote, scrapping charitable tax status for private schools to fund the most ambitious state school improvement plan in a generation. And in 2021, Rachel Reeves said this: "Here's the truth. Private schools are not charities, and so we will end that exemption and put that money straight into our state schools. That is what a Labour government will do." Except that's not what a Labour government is saying they're doing now. They're doing the opposite. So this is another U-turn from Labour after a long line of them. What's also interesting about this story is that it's posing private school as if it's a wider social good. So if you just look at this wording that the Labour spokesperson said, "We remove the unfair tax breaks. This doesn't require removing charitable status." But we've heard earlier that, charitable status means that public schools, private schools, they get these tax breaks on business rates. They have all kinds of sort of little loopholes. They can keep hoarding those massive fees they're taking from rich people in order to create this segregated social education system where if you're rich, you can buy a really good education with all these different facilities as well. You've got these private pools, you've got these private playing fields, the best quality teaching possible. But they're saying, okay, well, this is a social good for everyone. How is this a social good for everyone at all? And how is Labour endorsing the idea that there are unfair tax breaks and then there are fair tax breaks, like having private schools being charitable statuses? They're not a charity. Why are they getting a charitable status? And it keeps these private schools as this superior learning site where it's aspirational for low-income kids to be taken, pity on or given this philanthropic, individual chance at going to these amazing schools, rather than making state schooling blanket the best possible across the country, which would make private schools moot. If you're funding state schools, you don't need, and the state school is the best thing you could go to and has the best facilities and the best possible education, and you're not, the roof's not falling in because of the concrete, the aging concrete, then you don't need to go to a private school. You don't need to save up this money. Your parents don't need to work their fingers to the bone, as every private schooler says their parents did, in order to send them to this different type of school, which somehow is benefiting everyone. Doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I'm just a bitter state schooler.